Welcome back to the channel, everyone, where you join me with twin turbos. Yeah, that's right. These cars, these 90s Rovers, are the petrol turbocharged variants of their respective models. And well, twins, because they both share the same engine, Rover's T-Series double overhead cam, 197 brake horsepower, 2-litre turbo. And this engine, well, it found its way into the 220 Coupe Turbo, it found its way into the 420 GSI Turbo, and the 600 Ti, and of course the Rover 800 Vitesse, so right across the Rover range of its time. Now the 800 Turbo, well, that was produced between 91 and 1999. This car's a late one, it's a 1999 registered car. And as for the 600 Ti, well, that was produced from 1994 to 1999, and this car is a 1998. So both of these are late production models of their particular marques, and well, don't they look splendid? Now, why have I got these cars outside of the barn? Why are these modern classic Rovers out of the barn in April? Well, that's because it's the Pride of Longbridge on the 26th of April, and today is the 25th, so Pol is tomorrow. Now, what is Pol? Well, since the closure of MG Rover Group, which was on the 8th of April 2005, well, actually, since April 2006, there's been a national gathering of everything that was made by MG, by Rover, and anything produced by British Leyland. The meet happens at Cofton Park, which is directly opposite the famous gates of the Longbridge factory, where so many MGs and Rovers were produced. And well, it's an opportunity for the local community, for the enthusiasts, the MG Rover and British Leyland enthusiasts to get together. And that's not just from the UK, that's from right across Europe. And of course, the ex-workers of Rover to come out, to get together and well, to celebrate everything that was produced by MG, Rover, Triumph, Morris, Austin, Wolseley, and so on. So many brands. Now, I've been to the Pride of Longbridge many times before. I've been in my MG ZT260, and in 2023, I took this Rover 800 Vitesse. And last year, 2024, well, I was planning to take my Rover 600 Turbo, but the weather was rubbish. And the thing with Cofton Park is it doesn't cope well with lots of rain. So Pride of Longbridge was cancelled. And if you were watching my channel around this time last year, then you'll know on Pol Day last year, well, I took my MGF Trophy 160 out for that lovely drive across Dartmoor. It was loads of fun. I had a great time, but I was gutted that Pride of Longbridge was cancelled. This year then, well, the weather is good. It's actually just started to spit with rain, which isn't forecast for the weekend. I'm sure this will pass. The weather's been really good up until now, and it's going to be good over the weekend. So Pride of Longbridge is on. And well, that's important because this year, it's a big one. 2025 marks 20 years since the collapse of our beloved MG Rover. Which car shall I take then? Let's find out. The thing is, I love both of these cars. Aren't they fantastic? And the original plan was to take both. I have a good friend of mine who's a big car enthusiast who was going to join me at Pride of Longbridge this year and drive one of these cars up, and I was going to drive the other. But sadly, circumstances have changed, so I'm now going on my Todd. I'm going on my own. You can only drive one car at once, which is a real shame because I've got, what, 7 or 8 Rovers that I'd love to take to the Pride of Longbridge. But no, it's only one for me this year. I've actually prepared both of these cars to go in readiness for Pride of Longbridge. I got the Rover 800 Vitesse out of its winter hibernation. The car started first time and then out of the barn, and it was off for an MOT, which it passed, but I do have an advisory on rear brake discs. Next then to the Rover 600 Turbo. Well, I actually only got this car back yesterday. Here, take a look. Well, this is just typical Cornish car collectors, typical me. It's nearly 7 o'clock, that's 7 o'clock PM on the 24th of April. Pole, remember, Pride of Longbridge is on the 26th of April, and I'm travelling from Cornwall to Birmingham. Tomorrow I've got a hotel overnight. And well, I'm just driving now, as I say, at 7 o'clock or nearly 7 o'clock PM to pick up the Rover 600 Turbo, which has just been MOT'd. I dropped it off at the garage last week and it failed the MOT. I kind of expected it to fail the MOT because the handbrake operation, well, it was shocking. It's a Rover after all Rover handbrakes are shocking, but this one was particularly bad. It wasn't holding the car, so I guessed that it would fail. They diagnosed it as an offside rear caliper, which the garage kindly ordered. They supplied it, they fitted it, but when they were fitting it, well, they found that the handbrake cables were shot. So a bit of a mad panic. It was yesterday actually that they told me that the handbrake cables were shot. So big thanks to Rimmer Brothers, who I spoke to yesterday. They had both the right hand and the left hand handbrake cables in stock, were able to supply them and send them out next day delivery, which was brilliant. So they've been fitted to the car passed the MOT, I went and paid for it just now, and well, now I'm taking my son's little Alfa Romeo Mito, which is a cracking little car, his first car actually, down for an MOT, and swapping it over for the Rover 600 Turbo. This really is a cracking little first car. My first car was an Austin Maestro in Austin beige, a 1.3L. That wasn't cool at all, albeit looking back it was pretty cool. My son's got this Alfa Romeo. It really is a smashing little car. So I'm going to drive this down, going to swap it over for the Rover 600 Turbo. I've also got in the boot of the Rover 600 Turbo the rear brake discs that were the advisory on the MOT for the Rover 800. I ordered them from Rimmer Brothers along with the handbrake cables for the 600. So that should be both of my Rovers with full 12-month MOTs and no advisories. So no advisories on the 600 Turbo, and it's just those rear brake discs and the service brake on the Rover 800, which I'm certain will be rear discs. So we'll get them swapped over, but not before Pride of Longbridge. So I'm going to smoke down there in Evan's little Alfa Romeo and pick up my 600 Turbo. Let's go. Here we are in Polbathic and about to turn into Polbathic Motor Services. Big thanks to those guys for getting the Rover 600 and of course the Rover 800 MOT'd. But there it is, look, my 600 Turbo, looking great. Can't wait to give it a clean. So with both of these cars ready, it's decision time. Let's go. Well, of course, it's the Rover 600 Turbo. And deservedly so. After all, this car missed out on last year's Pride of Longbridge because it was cancelled. But before I tell you about this car and before I tell you about the weekend that I've got that lies ahead that you're joining me for, I've got to say that, well, when I was leaving Cornwall and driving through Plymouth, it was raining. I mean, what is it with me and attending Pride of Longbridge and the rain? It wasn't even forecast to rain. Oh, how frustrating. Here's some footage of me driving out of Cornwall into Devon, and well, you can see the rain there. Oh, really, really annoying, but it wasn't as bad as 2023. In fact, I'll put some footage up now of me driving up in the 800 Vitesse, and well, that was really poor conditions. The frustrating thing is, well, this morning I'd finished cleaning this car. I gave it a wash, I cleaned out the interior, and then I polished this car all in readiness for it to shine at Pride of Longbridge, because it's such a good example of a 600 turbo this. Well, now, having driven through the rain, I'm going to have to wash this car again. But I'm past Exeter now, I'm on the M5, and I've driven out of the rain and into the, well, drier weather. It's a little overcast, looks to be sunnier over there in front of me. So this should be the weather now that I experience for the next 24 hours, and then there's lovely sun on Sunday. But back to the Rover 600 Turbo. Well, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know I bought this car in December 2023. I spotted it on eBay. I watch out for 600 turbos quite a lot because I had one when I was younger. And while this car popped up, I think I saw it early. I saw it on the first day that it was on a 7-day auction. I put a bid on £1,995. I was the first person to bid. And well, to my surprise, I won this car with my maiden bid, £1,995. And I featured buying, travelling up and collecting this car and bringing it back in a video back in December 23. And I listed off the things, well, my initial thoughts on the car and the jobs that I wanted to do on this car. And I'll give you an update on those in a bit. What's certain though is that this car is absolutely perfect for a 200-mile road trip, or 200 miles there, 200 miles back. This car is comfortable, it's effortless to drive, and well, it's quick. It's still quick now, even by today's standards. I mean, look at this. This car's really fast. I love it. As I say, I'll tell you about the jobs and the work that I've done on this car in a moment. First of all, let me tell you about the weekend that lies ahead. And first of all, as I say, we've got the Pride of Longbridge tomorrow. Now, I'm staying in the Premier Inn in Longbridge. It's where I always stay when I come up to attend Pol. So I'm staying there tonight, and then we've got Pride of Longbridge tomorrow, which is a 10 o'clock start there at Cofton Park. I'm actually showing this car on the Rover 600 and 800 Owners Club stand. But I'm also staying a second night at the Premier Inn. I might treat myself to a decent curry or maybe go to the cinema even tomorrow evening. But I'm staying there because on the Sunday, I'm going to be travelling up to Derbyshire way to the Great British Car Journey Museum, because they're hosting the Longships and Octagons meet. It's about 70 miles north of Longbridge, so I'll make that drive on Sunday morning. It also happens to be, it's the 26th of April, it also happens to be National Drive It Day. So that's Pride of Longbridge, that's the Great British Car Journey Museum, that's attending the Longships and Octagons meet, and National Drive It Day, all in this weekend. Plus, I get to spend this weekend with this lovely car, putting some miles on it and making some memories. And you're coming along with me for all of that. Brilliant, isn't it? I'm just approaching Bristol, about an hour and a half to go from here up to Longbridge. And well, it's turned into something of a lovely evening, which is a great sign for tomorrow. But as I've been driving this Rover 600, I've been sat here thinking, how on earth did a company who made a product as good as this go out of business? It's so hard to believe, so hard to understand. The Rover 600 was probably the penultimate all-new Rover ever built, with the Rover 75, of course, being the last all-new Rover ever built. You could argue that the Rover 600 has got a lot of Honda's engineering built into it, but this was an all-new Rover product. The Rover 75 came out in, 1998? The Rover 600, I think the launch date was the 19th of April, 1993, so some 5 years before the 75. Oh, and as for the City Rover, well, we just don't talk about that. Do you know that 273,221 Rover 600s were produced, with 117,000 of them coming over here to the UK? And what is there left today now? Less, I think, than 600 of these cars left on the road. And only 41 of them are Rover 600 turbos like this one. I think that chap in the black Defender there was in something of a hurry, but then wouldn't you be? Who'd want to drive one of those? Anyway, getting back to MG Rover and the collapse of MG Rover, I do understand that, well, Ford took Land Rover and BMW took the Mini brand, leaving MG Rover with what, the aging Rover 200 or 25 and the 445 platforms. The roots of those models stretching way back into the 80s. They had the MGF, of course, as well, and the impressive Rover 75. But they just didn't have the capital or the investment to build a new model, and that's what they needed, an all-new model. Rover became the kings of recycling these old models, giving us the MG Z cars, giving us the Rover Streetwise and the MGTF. I think the designs and the cars themselves were good. They did really well with what they had. But whether it was a lack of money or mismanagement or the government's neglect of MG Rover, but whatever it was a sad day on the 8th of April 2005 when, some 6,300 workers lost their jobs, with MG Rover going into administration with 1.4 billion pounds worth of debts. Oh, we've got some traffic here now, that's a shame. But it's hard to think that it happened at all, really, isn't it, the collapse of MG Rover? And it's even more difficult to think that it was 20 years ago that it happened. But the cars continue to have a real enthusiast following. And well, you'll see that tomorrow, just how passionate people are about their MGs, about their Rovers and everything else that's British Leyland. It really is cool. So we're through Bristol, under an hour to go now. And well, I'm starting to lose the light. What time is it? About 7:30. I think probably I need to lose these as well. So back to the Rover 600 Ti. And well, when I bought this car from Stephen, it was a great car and it continues to be. In fact, driving up here now, and in quite contrast to the Rover 800, this car has not squeaked or rattled or knocked at all. This car's really well screwed together. And the Rover 800, whilst I love it, and I adore that car, just isn't as well built as this. It doesn't feel as solid as the Rover 600 does. Let's not have any mention now of Honda and their influence on this car. They're both Rovers, after all, they both have Rover T-Series engines, but this car just feels a bit better built. Now, with this car, I think I mentioned in the last video, the badge on the back of this car says 620 Ti, but this is a facelift Rover 600. The facelift happened in around 1996. They made some subtle changes, but one of the things they changed was they rebadged the 620 Ti to just the 600. A further step by Rover to kind of conceal the performance credentials of this 200 horsepower super saloon, to keep the hoodlums away from buying them, of course. Anyway, this car's got the 620 Ti badge, and Stephen, who I bought the car from, watched that original video. I mentioned a couple of things that I wanted to probably put back to standard. He got in touch, he had the original parts, and well, he put them all in a box and sent them to me, and in there was the original badge, a 600 badge, so I was right. This car should be badged 600. And I like my cars to be standard. You know that if you're a long-term viewer of the channel. But when it comes to this car, I quite like that 620 Ti badge on the back. So I'm going to leave that one where it is. Now, Stephen also kindly sent me the orange side repeaters. This car, when I bought it, had clear side repeaters, but they should be orange. So he sent them to me and I swapped them over. And well, I think it looks much better. I also mentioned in that previous video a couple of bits of bodywork that needed doing. There was a small patch of rust where the wheel arch meets the sill on the near side, and also the top of the boot lid was really flat. So the car went into MK Body Shop where they prepared and painted the boot lid, and they sorted out that small patch of rust. It was pretty minor, but I wanted it sorted out. Matt and team did an absolutely fantastic job, and the 600 is back looking as good as it deserves to look. It's such a pretty car. I then fitted new number plates front and rear to the Rover 600. A new set of plates always sets the car off. And I fitted an original stereo. I whipped out that Sony unit that came with the car and I put in an original Rover 600 stereo. And the beauty of a Rover 600 when it comes to the music and the stereo is when you turn it on, you've got an electric aerial, and the one on this car works fine. So we're all back to standard here in the interior, or we are at least when the ashtray is shut. I'll come back to that in a moment. Now, in that previous video, I also said that I wanted to get all of my 90s Rovers lined up at a car show. Well, I managed it in August 2024 at the Mount Edgecombe American and Classic Car Show. Well, I got my Rover 200 VI, my Rover 600 Ti, and my Rover 800 Vitesse, all lined up and on show, all looking lovely in the glorious Cornish sunshine. So with the new brake caliper fitted to this car, and this car now having a full 12 months MOT, in fact a full clean bill of health, because there were no advisories arising from that recent MOT. Well, my 600 Turbo looks and feels properly together. This car drives brilliantly. It feels way, way younger than its years. And there's the first sign for Longbridge. We've done 207 miles so far, a couple of miles to go, so just under 210 miles, Cornwall to Longbridge. Been a really easy drive up, actually, very pleasant indeed. A bit of traffic there at Bristol, but that really was it. I stopped for a coffee for 20 minutes, but it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure mainly because this car is a real pleasure. So, just under 2 miles, as I say, to the hotel, to the Premier Inn at Longbridge. We'll park the car in the usual car park, the multi-storey there. It's nice and safe, so we'll park it there and we'll get checked in. You head up right there to Low Hill Lane, the Longbridge factory and Cofton Park, but we're going left today. Look at all these newly built commercial properties, all on the footprint of where the old Longbridge MG Rover factory was. Here's the hotel coming up on the right. I'm not sure if the camera's picking all this up, but there's the hotel. And we'll head on through to the multi-storey car park, as I've said, the one I usually park in. Sometimes we'll see an MG Rover car parked in the car park. So let's have a look. And if we do see one, of course, we've got to observe the law and park next to it. I spy some Rovers, everyone. Let's go and park next to them. Look at that. Could this be a little Rover 200 VI? I'll pop out and have a look. And I'll see you all in the morning for Pride of Longbridge. Check this out. We're having our own little Pride of Longbridge pre-meet right here in the car park. Let me walk this line quickly. So my Rover 600 Ti, parked next to a lovely Rover 200 VI. Yep, that's a VI. Lovely looking car, that. Then a Streetwise, and then a couple of Rover 400s. Well, actually, a 45 and a 400. Very nice indeed. Well, morning everyone. It's Pride of Longbridge Day, and as you can see, I'm a little bit later than everyone else who'd parked here in the car park in this lovely lineup that we had last night. In fact, I met these guys today over breakfast. Great chaps, so hope to see their cars in a moment at Cofton Park. It's only about 5 minutes from here to the ground, so, well, let's go. Well, I'm not quite sure it's bright enough for sunglasses, but it's a dry day and it's Pride of Longbridge. So I'm chuffed. All we need is dry weather for today. It's lovely, look, you start to see Rovers all over the place. A couple of MGs, a Rover 75, a Rover 400, a Maestro, another Maestro, a Mini, a Maestro, an MGF. Look at them all. And here I am about to turn left onto Low Hill Lane, which is where Longbridge is. But if you were lost and if you didn't have sat-nav, it wouldn't be too difficult to find the Pride of Longbridge because you just follow the MGs, the Rovers and the British Leyland cars. Well, here comes an SD1. Is that going to cross in front of us? Look at that. What a beautiful car that is. And here we are going on to Low Hill Lane. and up the hill to the Longbridge plant. You can see in the distance here, I mean, you always got to expect queues to get into Pride of Longbridge, but there on the left are the gates for the Longbridge factory with the MG sign there, of course. We'll come back here later and have a picture of the Rover 600 in front of the sign, as I have done for all other polls that I've been to. It's hard to believe, isn't it? 20 years ago, they closed the gates here for the last time as MG Rover. Sure, it opened up again with MG under Chinese ownership, but that's kind of stumbled along really to, well, next to nothing. If anything at all happens here now, I think it's just a site for development. And well, it will be really, really sad when they get to develop this frontage here, the Longbridge gates. They knock those down, they knock down that lovely Art Deco building, if they ever indeed do. Perhaps it's protected, I don't know. But for now, it's a special place if you've got these cars. So it's nice to come along and to meet with the enthusiasts, the local community, and as I said yesterday, the ex-workers as well, because, well, they all come out and see these cars too, which is great. I've got to go into gate one. Said, I think, yesterday, I'm showing along with the Rover 600 and 800 Owners Club. So, made a little sign to make sure. So we're going to have one of these. So, gate one, stand 11 for us today. I'll put that up in the windscreen. Right, let's get through the queues here. Been here before, of course, when Pride of Longbridge was cancelled, and when it's cancelled, well, all of the cars park up Low Hill Lane on either side of the road, really congesting this area. I put some photographs on the screen now of when that happened. That was the year I took the boys. They were quite young then, but we had a wonderful time. It was the best cancelled car show of all time, or so the press reported it. For all of the cars that come here, well, they manage the queues really well. Got to remember, everyone here is a volunteer and they do a fantastic job. So, opportunity to say thanks. Thanks to everyone, Gemma and team, who organise this event every year. It's really special to all of us, and well, you do a cracking job. We're now following a little Mini into here, and well, in front of that is a beige Austin Maestro, which looks very similar to my first ever car. Hello, thank you. Thanks. What did we just get handed there? Save the date, Rover Fest, 2nd and 3rd of August this year. Sounds great, but I'll be at the Mount Edgecombe car show as I go to every year. Nice though. Yeah, look at the row of Maestros, look, as they're around the left-hand bend there. I hope the camera's picking that up. I love a Maestro. Of course, back in the day, they were not a car that was fashionable at all. In fact, if you drove a Maestro, you were, well, not very cool. My granddad had a Maestro Mayfair. My first car was a Maestro. But now to see them, well, they're just fantastic. I'd love another Austin or Rover Maestro, maybe an MG Maestro one day. Who knows? Be like stepping back in time, as it was very much when I bought this car, of course. Lots of nostalgia here, lots of lovely, lovely cars. I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up, but that purple Maestro looks to be a P-Reg car. That's quite interesting, a really late registered Austin Maestro, or a Rover Maestro as that would have been. Wow. We'll certainly go and take a look at that. P-Reg. That's what, 1996? And here we are, coming around the corner, our first look at Pole 2025. Like I say, it should be a good one, a really big one, 20 years after all. Here's the Rover 600 and 800 Owners Club stand, and just look at all of these cars together. I doubt you'd see this many 600 and 800s, Rover's flagship models, together anywhere else. Awesome. It's 11:30 and well, I've hardly seen anything. It's like sensory overload here. The number of cars that are on show, owners, people just coming over to talk about their cars. It's got to be one of the best shows, the best car scenes, the best group of enthusiasts around. And have a good walk around and, well, show you some of my favourite cars at Pride of Longbridge. This was a nice surprise. My old X-Power Grey MG ZR160, here with its new owner and looking grand. Well, I've spent about 4 hours walking around Cofton Park, seeing all the cars. It's been quite amazing. Rewarded myself with an ice cream, and I've been a pretty crap YouTuber again because I've not filmed much of it, but I have taken some photographs, so I hope you've enjoyed those. It's about 3 o'clock now, thinning out, so probably spend another hour here. In fact, I don't really want to go home. I just want to spend more time in a field with MG Rover owners. Absolutely brilliant. For now though, I'll enjoy this. Well, what a day. It's just gone 4 o'clock. I've done over 11,000 steps. And well, I'm sad to say that Pride of Longbridge 2025 is all over. So, let's drive out. The weather actually turned out to be, well, glorious. I think I've caught the sun. And thankfully for me, I don't have too far to go. Just back to the hotel, less than a mile. And then I'm going to do all of this again tomorrow. Okay, it's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And well, just so many YouTubers here. Project Nigel, Paul, Project Nigel was here. Good to see Rob from Beards and Bangers. Of course, Lloyd from Lloyd's Vehicle Consulting. Can't speak to Lloyd because he goes around. In fact, if you want to see every car that's here at the Pride of Longbridge, well, go over and have a look at his video because he films absolutely every single one. So much so you can't stop and speak to him. So here's a photograph of him doing his thing. and I met Mike from Drive Tribe, who of course bought his Rover 600 Ti and his MG ZS 180. Nice chat to Mike. We've got a very similar taste in cars, actually, Mike and I. He's also got an ST200 Mondeo. Anyway, driving out, following this lovely 416 SLI. Again, driving up past the MG sign. I won't stop now. I think I'll come back a little bit later on and take my picture because it's going to be quite busy now. MGs and Rovers everywhere. Yeah, look at that. Look, everyone's having their picture taken. Thankfully, I can come back and do it a little bit later on this evening. I'll put some photographs up in a minute of my car parked by the sign. And as I'm sat here in traffic lights waiting to turn into the road and my hotel, I really haven't come very far at all. Well, I'm reminded, I always knew these cars were special, but I'm reminded just how special these MGs, Rovers, British Leyland cars are. And the group that follow these cars, the enthusiasts, well, they're amongst the best in the car scene. They really are a great bunch of people. Thanks to everyone who came over to say hello, those of you that watch the channel. I really appreciate it. Thanks for those few of you as well that asked for a picture. That was quite humbling. Also, thanks to anyone who came over and looked at the car, took a picture of the car, chatted to me about the car, and to those people who were patient with me as I asked and spoke about their cars. Great group of people. And well, these cars are very special indeed. After all, they're part of our motoring heritage. And I'm lucky that, as I say, I'm doing all of this again tomorrow. So a night in the hotel, here it is. It wasn't a long commute at all, was it? And yeah, we'll do it all again tomorrow. So I'll see you in the morning. Well, good morning everyone. I'm well rested after my day at Pride of Longbridge yesterday. Wasn't it fantastic? And I'm a little bit sunburnt. I don't know if it's coming out on the camera. The weather yesterday was supposed to be overcast but dry. Turned out to be quite sunny. And sunny it is today too. It's really warm today. What a beautiful day we have for Octagon and Longships, which is up at the Great British Car Journey Museum, which is in Belper. It's about 60 odd miles from Birmingham, albeit actually this morning the sat-nav has taken me on a bit of a detour. I think there's 30 or 40 minutes worth of traffic on the M6. So it's taken me off the M6 and well, we're doing a bit more of a scenic route up to Belper, up to the Great British Car Journey to do Octagons and Longships. I actually met a couple of the organisers yesterday. Good to chat to those guys. Sounds like a really great event. Stopped off just now for a McDonald's breakfast and for a Costa coffee. So I'm well set for what I hope will be another fantastic day, indulging myself in MGs and Rovers and of course everything else that the museum has to offer, because well, I've not been there before, so be a new experience for me too. The only issue of course is that this is taking me about 70 miles in the wrong direction from home. So I've got a bit of an epic drive home later on today. Not that that worries me too much because, well, I just love driving this Rover 600 Turbo. And so far, touch wood, it's been performing, driving really well, proving really reliable, just like my old one some 20 odd years ago. Anyway, I'm going to enjoy my coffee. I think I've yabbered on enough in this video so far. So I'm going to enjoy my coffee, enjoy the drive, enjoy the weather, and I'll see you at the Great British Car Journey for the Longships and Octagons meet. See you in a minute. Under 2 miles to go now until the Great British Car Journey. Been a bit of a drive up actually. I'm about half an hour later than I'd planned, and that's thanks to that traffic that I mentioned earlier on. In fact, I was sent all around the houses, but I was rewarded for that detour. It's National Drive It Day today, of course, so I've seen a few cars out and about. I saw a Nissan Figaro. I don't think I got it on camera, but I did have one once. It was the same colour as mine. I'll pop a picture of my old one on the screen now. That car came to me as part of a part exchange, if you'd believe it, against a Rover 200 BRM, a car I really miss. But I was treated, as I say, as I drove through Burton-on-Trent, because I followed a Rover 75 V8, a Tourer, and the number plate V8 75 man. Well, what a cool car that was to see. So in the end, the detour paid off. Now I know I'm getting close because there's a Rover 600 behind me. Again, I don't think the camera will pick it up. I've not got a rear camera installed, but we're definitely getting close. So let's drive on in. A couple of minutes now, let's drive on in to the Great British Car Journey and let's see who's here. Well, look at the cars here. My goodness. Of course, it's National Drive It Day, so everyone's out and about. Looks like there's a Jaguar show and, well, everything else. I've come to see the museum as well, of course, but will I even get inside with all these lovely machines parked outside? In fact, here comes an Escort Series 1 RS Turbo. It's a Sierra XR 4x4 over there. Wow, loads of it. Another good car day, everyone. One where I'm sure I'll just take photographs and do a voiceover because, well, I tend to indulge myself at these particular events. Just go around chatting to people, looking at the cars. So I'll try and get as much footage as I can. I hope you enjoy the videos. But for me, well, this is as much a memory for me when I watch this back in 12 months, 2 years, 5, 10 years time. Anyway, let's get parked up. Well, I've had an absolutely amazing time here so far at the Longships and Octagons meet. It's just been brilliant, put on by the MG Rover events team, and well, they've had the weather which has just made it even better. The cars that are here are just out of this world. I mean, over my shoulder here, look, you see it? Just here is a 75 coupe. I've put some pictures up, I'm sure, by now of that car. If I haven't, I'll put them on now. But yeah, amazing to see that. I've seen it before, but lovely to have it out at this event. And as for the museum, well, the museum also mind-blowing. So if you're ever in this area, make sure you stop off at the Great British Car Journey and come and see just the museum itself. And of course, because it's Drive It Day, well, the cars that have been parked in the car park have been well worth seeing. So I've shown you my highlights of the Longships and Octagons meet. Let me show you my highlights of Drive It Day here and what's in the museum. I'm driving home with a big smile on my face for two reasons. The first, I've had a fantastic weekend with the MG Rover, British Leyland, Pride of Longbridge, Longships and Octagons crowd. They're such a good group of people. You're never more than 5 or 6 footsteps away from another conversation about a fantastic car, and well, they're amongst the most passionate enthusiasts in the car scene. It really has been great, and this car, the 600 Turbo, well, it's been a big hit. So one of the reasons I've had a fantastic time. The second reason is this car. It's just brilliant. I've got well, beautiful weather. It's been beautiful weather today for the show. I mean, you couldn't ask for better weather. And I've got now this weather continuing into the afternoon and what will become late afternoon and early evening for me as I drive the 5 or so hours home. Although I do have a stop part way home. I'll tell you about that in a moment. Before I do, let's talk about the Rover 600 Turbo, which is fast becoming one of my favorite cars in my collection. Remember, I owned one when I was 25, and I was a little bit nervous about getting back into one of these because, well, you shouldn't go back, should you? You know, I remember this car so fondly. I was fearful that it wouldn't live up to those memories, but it has done. And to be honest, it's surpassed them. It's such a good car, such a fast car, such a fun car to drive, such a comfortable car for this type of journey. I could go on and on. There are a few jobs I need to do still on this car. I'll tell you about those in a moment. But before I do, in my last video, I kind of guessed the MPG, the miles per gallon that this car was doing. I did you all a bit of a disservice, if I'm honest, because I guesstimated it. So I've just filled up with fuel. Well, I'd say that. I filled up about 30 miles ago on 337 miles. That's how many miles I'd done from home, from filling up back in Cornwall to filling up just outside of Burton-on-Trent. So 337 miles, and the car took just over 70 quid, 44, I think, litres of fuel. In fact, I'll put on the screen the total mileage now. I'll put on the screen the amount of fuel that I put in, litres, and then in gallons, that's about 9.7 gallons. So this car is doing more than 34 miles per gallon for a high performance saloon car like this. I mean, I think that's brilliant. So 34, 35 miles per gallon in super comfort with real pace. I mean, I'm doing about 60 now. You just accelerate, and this car, oh, it takes off, look. All within the speed limit, of course. Wow, what a brilliant car. I could drive this all day. In fact, I'm going to drive this car back and I'm not going to want to get out of it. I've got some jobs still to do on this car, so I ran through on the way up the jobs that I've done on the car. Jobs that remain outstanding. Well, the clock doesn't work. Well, it does work, but the display has had it. Now, the Rover 200 Coupe Owners Club actually do a restoration on that car. You take it out, you send it off to them, and they'll fix it. It's a good service. I did it on my Rover 25 Commerce, so I'll get that done at some point over the next 12 months. The other thing I need to do on this car, I mentioned it again on the way up, is if you lift the ashtray cover on this car, well, you'll find 2 USB sockets, which of course shouldn't be there, and you'll find a turbo control, which actually doesn't work anymore. It's put there by the previous owner, and well, it's ugly and it needs to come out, albeit the USB sockets have actually been really useful on this trip, just for the dash cam and for charging my phone. Now, I know you can do that with a cigarette lighter with a 12-volt socket and a couple of USBs, so I probably will put that back to how it should be, just for my own peace of mind. Third thing that I need to do on this car, and this is a minor thing, but the previous owner put some new mats in this car, and they say Rover TURBO. And there's nothing wrong with that, obviously, but I'd like a set of original Rover 600 mats if I can find some. So I'll be on the lookout for them, not the beige interior ones, of course, the dark interior. So I'll keep a lookout, and at some point in the future, it's a minor thing, but we'll change them. The other thing I think I'll do, driving up and back, I'll do over 500 miles in this car over this weekend. In fact, I'll put the mileage up at the very end of this video, so stay tuned. but it's going to go about 550 miles, no problem at all. Tyres are all good, but I did see the back tyres. I think the front tyres are 2021s. They're all Continental tyres, so a premium brand. The front ones are 2021. The backs, I think, are 2015, so 10 years old. I think I probably should put a fresh set of rubber on this car. And the final thing worth mentioning is it's a really hot day, but the air conditioning on this car doesn't work. It probably does. It probably just needs regassing. To be honest, the air conditioning in most of my cars doesn't work because, well, I don't use them regularly enough. So air conditioning systems, if they sat idle, they don't rest up well. So I tend not to worry too much about the air conditioning, which isn't a big issue 95% of the time. But today, it's a problem because it's warm in here today. So I think when I turn the camera off, I'll do a bit of 2x70 air conditioning. That's 2 windows down, 70 miles an hour. Now I mentioned that I'm stopping partway back. I'm actually stopping in Bristol partway back. The reason for that is that whilst I selected this car at the beginning of the video to bring up to Pride of Longbridge and to the Longships and Octagons meet, and I'm so pleased I did. It's been a wonderful companion for this journey. I had another car in mind to take to this weekend. Well, that was my Rover 25 Commerce, but I'll flash a picture on the screen as the car is now as I'm making this. And well, you'll see that car is far from ready. There's an update coming on that car very soon, so stay tuned to the channel. But one thing that I want, I said it in the last video, is should I put the car on some alloy wheels or should I put it back on steel wheels, that Rover van? And there's a chap in Bristol who's got a set of steel wheels. Mine are a bit corroded. Who's got a set of steel wheels and a set of wheel trims, albeit I've already acquired quite a few wheel trims. But it'd be nice to have those steel wheels and the wheel trims, just in case I want to put it on those, well, now or in the future. So they're 40 quid. Paul's offered them to me 40 quid, so I'm going to go and pick them up. And I hope they fit in the back of the 600 Turbo. I think I'll probably wrap it up here. As I say, I'll put the mileage, total mileage on the end of the video. I'll also probably throw you a couple of pictures as well of all the wheels in here, hopefully at least. And well, if the video goes on any longer than this, then I've broken down. So let's hope that there's only a few seconds left. I really appreciate you following this video right the way through. I don't know how this video is going to turn out. Probably a load of photos of MGs and Rovers and a load of bits of footage of me driving and waffling. But if you stuck with it, thank you very much. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you were at Pride of Longbridge, all the Longships and Octagons meet, and you came over and said hello, fantastic. Thanks very much. It's been a really brilliant couple of days. And well, I said it the last time I went to Pride of Longbridge, but I'm sad that it's over. I'm sad that I've got to wait a whole nother year to do this again. But do it again, I will, and I'll feature it here. And well, I hope that you join me on that one too. Thanks so much for watching. I'm in love with this car. It's definitely one that I'm keeping for a long time. And I'll see you on the next. Bye for now. Bye-bye.